Ladies and gentlemen, your life today is a reflection of the conversation you've been having with yourself. Are you inspiring yourself to rise or holding yourself back with fear and doubt? Let me tell you this, the voice inside your head can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. For the next 3 days, I dare you to make it your most fearless coach. The power of self-talk. You see, self-talk isn't just words in your head, it's the blueprint of your destiny. Weak, apologetic whispers like, I'm not sure I can, or maybe someday are chains holding you back. But a strong, commanding voice that says, I will, I must, I am becomes the hammer that breaks those chains. Why most people fail. Let's face it, most people lose before they even start. They sabotage themselves with self-doubt. They speak to themselves like failures and wonder why success feels out of reach. Here's the hard truth: you cannot build a skyscraper with a foundation of excuses and fear. Acknowledge where you are. The first day is brutal but necessary. You must face your flaws, your fears, and your excuses. Say to yourself, I've played small. I've let fear control me. But no more, don't sugarcoat it. And don't run from it. Own it. Because you can't fix what you won't face. Don't command your future. On day 2, you flip the script. Talk to yourself like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Stand tall, look in the mirror, and say, I am unstoppable. I am disciplined. I take bold action. Speak it until you feel it, even if it feels ridiculous at first. Day 3, relentless reinforcement. This is where most quit, but not you. On day 3, you go all in. The doubts will creep back, ignore them. Instead, speak louder, stronger. Repeat, I am not here to play small. I am here to win. Repetition creates belief, and belief drives action. The science of belief in action. When you speak boldly to yourself, your brain rewires itself to align with that vision. You start acting like the person you describe. This isn't magic, it's biology. The more you affirm your power, the more confident and decisive you become. The growth you'll witness. By the end of 3 days, you'll notice a shift. Your posture will change. Your thoughts will sharpen. You'll begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. This isn't just about positive thinking, it's about building the mindset of a winner. So I challenge you for 3 days, talk to yourself with courage and conviction. Leave no room for doubt, no space for weakness. Look yourself in the mirror and declare your greatness, your discipline, your power. Because the truth is, the only person who can change your life is staring back at you in the mirror. Start talking to them like the champion they're meant to be. 3 days, just 3 days, and you'll see the growth. Now, go prove it. The power of self-talk is more than just an idea. It's a force that shapes your life day by day. Think about it. Every single action you take, every decision, every step forward or backward begins with the thoughts you allow to fill your mind. Your inner dialogue is the silent architect of your reality. It builds the framework of your potential, or it can just as easily destroy it before you even start. The truth is, you're already talking to yourself. The question is, are you talking to yourself like a champion, or are you reinforcing your limitations? When you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, it's too hard, you are setting up a foundation built on weakness. You're convincing your subconscious that you are less than capable, and it believes you. The worst part, it's not just one moment, it's repeated day after day, week after week, until that negative self-talk becomes your default setting. Now imagine flipping the script. What would happen if you started talking to yourself like you already had what it takes? What if you spoke to yourself like a winner? Like someone who rises every time they fall, someone who owns their power, their potential, and their future. It's not about pretending, it's about affirming the truth that is already inside you, that you are capable of greatness, that you are worthy of success, that you are in control of your destiny. I think about how you would approach a challenge if you were telling yourself, I can handle this, I've overcome obstacles before, and this one is no different now. Tell me this doesn't shift the way you see the problem, the way you attack it. When you begin to talk to yourself like that, you create a mindset that doesn't retreat in the face of adversity. You're no longer a victim of your circumstances, you become the victor of them. This isn't some motivational fluff, this is about real power. The mind, when conditioned for success, doesn't just survive, it thrives. When you tell yourself, I've got this, your brain starts to search for solutions. It activates a kind of resourcefulness that you didn't even know was inside you. Instead of finding excuses to fail, it begins to find ways to win. And with every win, big or small, that inner voice becomes even stronger. The more you feed it, the more you start to believe it. And the more you believe it, the more you start to see the world as your playground, not your battlefield. Your self-talk is the difference between walking through life in a fog of doubt and walking through it with the clarity of purpose. It's the difference between staying stuck in the same place and pushing forward into a future that you create. This is your tool, your weapon. If you want to change your world, you've got to change the way you speak to yourself. So ask yourself, what are you telling yourself today? Most people fail long before they ever realize they've failed. It's not because they don't have the potential or the talent they do. It's not because the opportunities aren't out there, they are. There they are. The reason most people fail is simple. They never conquer the battle in their own minds. They fail because they let fear, doubt, and weakness guide their every move. They sabotage themselves before they even take a step. Here's the hard truth: failure isn't some big dramatic event. It's a slow, quiet process that happens each day, little by little, until it becomes too late to recover. Starts with the thoughts. A small seed of doubt, a little whisper of fear that grows every time you listen to it. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You'll never make it. These aren't just thoughts. They are the bricks that build the wall between you and your success. Most people give in to that wall. They settle into it, convinced that they aren't capable of doing anything greater. They take on the identity of failure, wearing it like a badge. They let every setback confirm what they've been telling themselves all along: I can't. I'm not worthy. It's too much for me. They don't realize that the real problem isn't the obstacles in front of them, it's the obstacles they've placed in their own minds. But here's the kicker: they're not born failures. No one is born to stay stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. It's the mindset that traps them. They wait for motivation to come. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for things to be easier. And they wait. And wait. And every second that passes is another moment spent reinforcing the lie that they aren't capable of more. But what if, instead of waiting, they decided to act anyway? What if, instead of waiting for the world to hand them a perfect opportunity, they took control and created their own? The moment they stop waiting for permission is the moment they break free. The moment they decide they're not going to let fear control them is the moment they become unstoppable. Most people fail because they don't see failure for what it really is: feedback. They see failure as a sign to quit, to give up, to fold under pressure. But failure isn't the end of the road, it's the signpost pointing to growth. Every time you stumble, every time you fall, you are given the opportunity to learn, to adjust, to rise stronger. But if you let failure define you, if you let it dictate your story, you'll never move forward. So why do most people fail? Because they're afraid to get uncomfortable. They're afraid of taking risks. They're afraid to trust their own potential. But the ones who succeed, the ones who truly make it, are the ones who are willing to step out in faith, even when the path isn't clear. They talk to themselves like winners. They take action in the face of fear, and they never, ever let doubt stop them. It's not about being fearless. It's about taking action, even when you are afraid. It's about pushing forward when every voice inside you says to stop. Most people fail because they never realize that the fight they need to win is inside their own head. The moment they take control of their thoughts, the moment they push aside the doubt and fear, is the moment they open the door to everything they've ever wanted. And let me tell you something, it's not just a door. It's a whole new world waiting for them. Most people fail not because they don't have the ability or the opportunities. They fail because they never fully engage with their potential. The truth is, failure is often a choice, a decision made long before anyone sees the results. It's a choice that happens every single day, in the quiet moments when you allow self-doubt to creep in, when you let fear dictate your actions, or when you settle for what's comfortable instead of reaching for what's great. The real failure isn't in the missteps or the setbacks, it's in the mindset that keeps you from trying again. People fail because they let their circumstances define them, not realizing that their circumstances don't have to control them. They look at their past, their mistakes, their failures, and they say, this is who I am. They don't realize that their past doesn't dictate their future, it's their present decisions, their mindset, and their actions that shape their destiny. But too many are stuck in a cycle of living in the past, trapped by the weight of regret, instead of focusing on the power of the now. People fail because they listen to the wrong voices, especially the ones in their own heads. You can't do this. Who do you think you are? You're not strong enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. These voices, loud and persistent, drown out the one voice that matters, the one that tells you you are enough, you are capable, you are powerful beyond measure. And when you listen to the wrong voices, you get caught in a never-ending loop of hesitation and uncertainty. The truth is, the most dangerous voice you'll ever hear is the one that tells you to play small, to stay comfortable, and to stop reaching higher. Most people fail because they don't take action when it matters. They're always waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, the right timing, the right support. But the truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a time when the stars align and the world just hands you what you want. Success is born out of action, even in the face of uncertainty. It's about moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers, even when the path isn't clear, even when you're terrified of what might happen next. But the moment you take that first step, despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, is the moment you begin to break free from the chains that have been holding you back. People fail because they fear failure. They let the fear of what might go wrong stop them from doing what might go right. But failure is not the enemy. Failure is simply feedback. It's the teacher that shows you what doesn't work, so you can figure out what does. When you look at failure as something to be feared, it controls you. But when you look at it as a lesson, as a necessary part of growth, it loses its power over you. Failure is not the end, it's a stepping stone on the way to success. And here's the thing, most people fail because they never truly believe in themselves. They don't believe they're worthy of success, of happiness, of greatness. They doubt their abilities and sell themselves short. But the moment you start believing in your own potential, when you decide that you are worthy of every good thing that comes your way, that's when everything changes. Confidence doesn't come from knowing you won't fail, it comes from knowing that you can handle whatever happens and that you'll keep going no matter what. Most people fail because they let fear of judgment control their actions. They're terrified of what others might think or say. They worry about being rejected, laughed at, or criticized. But let me tell you this, the only judgment that matters is the judgment you make of yourself. The opinions of others should never have the power to dictate your actions, your dreams, or your worth. If you spend your life worrying about what others think, you will spend your life stuck in a box that was never meant for you. The moment you stop caring about the approval of others is the moment you step into the life you were always meant to live. And finally, people fail because they never commit to long-term success. They want quick results. They want instant gratification. But real success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of daily discipline, of showing up even when you don't feel like it, of making the hard choices over and over again. Most people want the reward without doing the work, and that's why they fall short. The ones who succeed are the ones who are willing to pay the price, who are willing to stay committed for the long haul, even when the road gets tough. Challenge yourself to speak boldly, because your words have the power to shape not just your world, but the world around you. Every time you open your mouth, you're putting your thoughts into motion. You're creating a ripple that can either lift others up or keep them down. But here's the catch: most people speak too quietly, too carefully, afraid of what others might think, afraid of making a mistake, afraid of rocking the boat. And in doing so, they rob themselves of their own voice. They hold back the very power they were born with. Speaking boldly isn't about yelling or being loud for the sake of being heard. It's about speaking with conviction. It's about owning your truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might make others feel. It's about refusing to shrink in the presence of doubt, and instead standing tall in your own skin and your own worth. When you speak boldly, you speak as someone who knows their value and isn't afraid to share it with the world. And that is a force to be reckoned with. Most people don't speak boldly because they've been conditioned to be silent, to be polite, to fit into the mold that society has set for them. But silence is not a virtue if it's the result of fear. You're not here to blend in, to be invisible, to stay quiet, just to keep the peace. You're here to make an impact, to challenge the status quo, to raise the standards of what's possible. And that starts with speaking up, speaking out, and speaking boldly. The moment you decide to speak boldly is the moment you stop living for others and start living for yourself. It's the moment you choose to stop waiting for permission to be great, to stop asking for approval. You take control of your narrative. You no longer let anyone else define who you are or what you're capable of. Bold speech comes from bold action, from living a life that demands to be noticed, from making choices that leave no room for doubt. It's about leading with your words, not following with silence. When you speak boldly, you take ownership of your story. You stop allowing others to write it for you. You stop letting your past define your present. You begin to speak with authority, with clarity, and with purpose. You understand that your voice matters. Every word you speak can influence someone else's life, can plant a seed that grows into something powerful. And that's not something to be taken lightly. Speaking boldly also requires you to let go of the fear of rejection. You're not going to please everyone. Not everyone will agree with you. But if you're constantly holding back because you're worried about others' opinions, you're never going to speak with the power that's inside you. When you challenge yourself to speak boldly, you release the chains of doubt, the fear of judgment, and you step into your true self. You stop apologizing for your truth, and instead you stand firm in it. The power of bold speech is also in its ability to inspire others. When you speak confidently, when you say what others are too afraid to say, you give people permission to do the same. Your boldness becomes a beacon for others who are waiting for someone to show them that it's okay to stand up, to speak their mind, to be unapologetically themselves. You become the change maker, the difference maker, the leader who shows people what's possible when you stop holding back. You must also realize that speaking boldly isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Your words need to carry weight, but they also need to be authentic. It's not enough to say the right thing if you don't mean it. When you speak boldly, it should come from your soul, from your passion, from your truth. Your words should reflect the depth of your conviction, your belief, your vision for your life, and the lives of others. People will feel that energy. They'll recognize that this isn't just talk. It's a movement. Bold speech also has the power to break barriers. It shatters the walls that hold us back, whether they're internal walls or external ones. Every time you challenge the status quo with your words, every time you speak your mind, you chip away at the fears and limitations that have been ingrained in your life. You create new pathways for yourself and for those who follow in your footsteps. And in doing so, you rewrite the rules. You define your own success, your own truth, and your own legacy. One. It all begins here, right in this very moment. The first step is to acknowledge where you are, exactly where you are, with no excuses, no hiding, and no pretending. This is the foundation. You can't move forward if you're too afraid to face the truth of your present situation. It's easy to ignore where you are, to stay in denial, to push the reality of your circumstances to the back of your mind. But let me tell you this, the moment you choose to acknowledge where you are, you take the first step toward change. That's the real power. You have to be honest with yourself. No more sugarcoating your failures, your shortcomings, your comings, your fears. No more pretending that everything's fine when it's not. Look at your life in the mirror and see it for what it is, not for what you want it to be. You cannot build a better future if you're stuck in a fantasy of how things should be. Stop lying to yourself. Acknowledge where you are, even if it's not where you want to be. There's power in recognizing your current reality. It's not about beating yourself up over where you are. It's about accepting it and realizing that you can change it. The moment you recognize where you are is the moment you stop being a victim to your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your life. You take responsibility. That's where true power begins.